Hello and welcome to Weekly Economic Insights, your weekly dose of events and news that you need to know to manage your personal finances. I am Ridhima Bhatnagar. Let's begin with all the Indian stock market action. Nifty made an all-time high of 22,775.70 on Wednesday, but saw a sharp sell-off on Friday, thus closing at 22,519.40. Sensex crossed the 75,000 mark and made an all-time high of 75,124.28 on Tuesday, but saw a sharp sell-off on Friday, thus closing at 74,244.90. DII's net bought securities worth Rs 12,232.61 crores and the FII and the FPI's net sold securities worth Rs 6,526.71 crores. Let's now shift our focus from the Indian markets to the global markets. Nasdaq Composite was down by 73.43 points, about 0.45%, closing at 16,175.09 compared to last week's closing of 16,248.52. Dow Jones Industrial Average closed at 37,983.24, down by 4.58% compared to last week's closing. FTSE closed at 7,995.58, up by 84.42 points compared to last week. Hang Seng Index closed at 16,721.69, down by 0.01% compared to last week's closing. Now, let's move and talk about the top stories of the week. The government of Mauritius and India have decided to amend the DTAA, or the Double Taxation Avoidance Agreement. Now, the government of Mauritius and India have decided to sign a protocol amending the Convention for the Avoidance of Double Taxation and the Prevention of Fiscal Evasion concerning taxes on income and capital gains, as well as for encouraging mutual trade investment. So, what are the key highlights? The amendment aims to eliminate double taxation without allowing opportunities for non-taxation or reduced taxation through tax evasion or avoidance, including treaty shopping arrangements. They've also added a new article, which is 27B, to this convention, which now stated that benefit under this convention won't grant a benefit for income if obtaining that benefit was one of the main reasons behind the arrangement or the transaction, but it might still be granted if it fits the convention's objectives. Now, the protocol will come into force upon completion of the required procedures by both contracting states and will have effect from the date of its entry into force, regardless of the dates of taxation or taxable years. Let's move on and bring you some other stories. During Monday's trading session, the total market capitalization of companies listed on the Bombay Stock Exchange exceeded 400 lakh crores for the first time. Strong domestic fund flow drove the increase in market capitalization as the Sensex also crossed the 75,000 milestone. Now, let's move from one exchange to the other and let's talk about what's happening at the NSE. The NSE has announced that 20th May will be a trading holiday in Mumbai. This will be on account of parliamentary elections in Mumbai. This circular is a modification of the previous trading holiday circular, which was released on the 12th of December 2023, and in that previous circular, 20th of May of this year was not designated as a trading holiday. Let's now talk about some global news. The CPI for all urban consumers increased by 0.4% in the month of March. On a monthly basis, the same increase compared to February 2024. So let's bring you some key highlights. Now, the food index increased by 0.1% month-on-month basis, while the food at home index was unchanged. Both the indices were unchanged in the month of February. The energy index increased by 1.1% month-on-month basis compared to an increase of 2.3 basis month-on-month basis in the month of February. The energy index increased 2.1% over the past 12 months. The shelter index continued to rise in March and contributed over 50% of the monthly increase in the index of all items. Let's now talk about some key data. CPI data was released for the month of March 2024 back home. The provisional CPI Consumer Price Index inflation rate for the month of March 2024 stood at 4.85%, whereas the CFPI or the Consumer Food Price Index inflation rate was 8.35%. On a monthly basis, the overall value of CPI was unchanged, which stood at 185.8, whereas the overall value of CFPI increased by about 0.16% from 189.5 to 189.8 in the same period. Vegetables along with pulses and products recorded the highest inflation in the last year, which was March 2023 to March 2024, with prices rising 28.34% and 17.71% respectively. Fuel and light prices have declined by 3.24% over the last year. Moving on. AMFI released data for the month of March. The net assets under management reached 53,40,194.64 crore last month, which means it was an increase of 35.46% compared to March last year. Net outflows for all types of schemes were 1,59,387.14 crores in March 2024 as compared to the net outflows of rupees 1,18,350.80 crores in February 2024. Next, in FY 2024, mutual funds experienced a 70% increase in new investors, largely driven by the equity market's revival. This surge added 6.8 million new investors, bringing the total MF subscriber count to 44.5 million. Investors' confidence has been boosted because of two reasons primarily. One, equity market indices like Nifty, 50 and Sensex have surged by over 25%. The other is the introduction of the new fund options. Let's now move on. The central bank, the RBI, has released data on external commercial borrowings, foreign currency convertible bonds and rupee-denominated bonds for the month of February 2024 through both automatic as well as the approval route. So the ECBs from the automatic route stood at $1.94 billion, whereas the approval route it stood at $274 million. The RDB from the automatic route stood at $79.55 million, whereas there was no amount in the RDB as far as the approval route is concerned. Let's now bring you some regulatory updates. 8 states in India projected to surpass the $1 trillion milestone. According to India Ratings and Research, 8 Indian states are forecasted to reach the $1 trillion mark in respective economies by 2027. Now, among these, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Gujarat are expected to be the first subnational economies to reach the $1 trillion mark in FY39, with nominal GSDP or the gross state domestic product growth in USD terms estimated at 5.5%, 8.4% and 8.3% respectively. After these 3 states, Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh are also projected to reach the $1 trillion mark before FY47. Let's bring you some other stories. Indians founded the most unicorns outside the country. Well, that's the word according to Global Unicorn Index. The Global Unicorn Index ranks startups founded in the 2000s worldwide. According to this index, Indian founders have generated more offshore unicorns than any other nation, with 109 unicorns co-founded outside of India as opposed to only 67 within the country. Majority of these offshore unicorns, 95 in total, were established in the USA, particularly in the Bay Area, with smaller numbers in the United Kingdom, Singapore, as well as Germany. Let's now bring you some news from the real estate space. Indian real estate sector generates over 3 crore jobs in the past decades. According to an Anarock-NAREDCO report named Real Estate Unboxed: The Modi Effect in the last decade, India's real estate sector has seen significant growth, leading, as we pointed out, to the creation of over 3 crore new jobs. This growth is attributed to policy reforms implemented by the current Modi government. This sector now employs more than 7.1 crore people, making up over 18% of the country's total workforce. Let's now talk about news from the IPO space. Let's talk about IPOs listed this week. Bharti Hexacom Limited IPO. The share saw a listing at Rs 755, up by 32.45% from its issue price of Rs 570. The company issued 7.5 crore equity shares worth Rs 4,275 crores as an offer for sale. Well, with this, we've reached the end of this video. One Finance will bring you every week news and updates that impact your personal finance. Do follow One Finance.